the ability to have multiple instantiations of a continuous monitoring solution. It assumed that for every agency, you were going to have one database where all low-level security data was collected. And for small agencies, that's fine probably. For larger agencies, that was untenable. And so I won't go into the rest of the details there, but we sort of scoped out some of the deficiencies, our limitations. And then we did what I call the Caesars framework expansion. We took their framework, we expanded upon it, we added additional functionality, we addressed some limitations. And before you get excited, we're not done yet. Where we are today is we have documented all these ideas in a paper that is going to be vetted internally. And so I can share the ideas as notional ideas publicly, but the paper, unfortunately, I can't give out because it's more of an official document, but we are starting to vet that internally to the ISIMC group. So if any of you want the paper and want to get involved, just join the ISIMC group. It's on OMB Max. But we have 6 subsystem types, which is similar to Caesars, but a little bit varied from it. And for this group, I probably won't go through each of the subsystems, and I probably won't go through each of the components within the subsystems for time, and in part because I'm not sure a lot of you would want to go down to that depth. But we have gone down to that depth. We have an idea for what infrastructure do we need? What architecture do we need to replicate what state has done? And we believe that we can sort of standardize, if you will, on a reference architecture that allows you to achieve what state has done, that allows vendors to build to that, for agencies to acquire to that. And that is all of the components that are not marked notional, the ones that are not in the dark blue. As I mentioned earlier, in our maturity model, we have ideas for how we can do so much more with continuous monitoring. How we can, for example, at a high level, we want to be able, let me go back to the enterprise architecture view, way back here. So we want to, at a very high level, oh, come on, there we go. So as the data gets aggregated up, we don't want to aggregate all the data at all tiers. The reason why is, number one, it's a security issue. The more data the more low-level vulnerability kind of data you're aggregating in one spot, the greater the risk you've got, the greater the headache you've got. So we really want to do a focused aggregation and have abstract metrics or more generalized metrics as we go up. But what if somebody at the top says, hey, why is this going bad in my agency? I want to drill down into that. I want to know more. And with the simple architecture, without the capability to reach down and ask questions into the architecture, you're going to start propagating more and more data up so the people at the top can answer more and more of their questions, to the point which you may end up trying to aggregate all your data up at all levels, and it's already been tried. I won't say who, but somebody has been trying to do it the last few months, and it's not working. So in the short term, I believe we need to do a focused aggregation as we go up through tiers of the hierarchy. Understand that we're looking at predefined views, create dashboards on that, and be happy with that. But then evolve to the point where at the top level, we can send queries down the architecture and ask focused questions about what we need to know, get that answer back, and that way we have kept the data at the leaf nodes where it is most secure, since it's kind of fragmented, not centralized in one big, massive repository. So it's more secure that way. It's protected by the people who own that particular data, so they're more comfortable with it. And politically, you sell it better. The data is fresher. And you've eliminated or sidestepped the bandwidth issues of sending all that data to one spot and up to multiple spots, and the storage issues. So to do that, though, you need the capability to send those queries down. We don't have those capabilities yet. Those components are marked notional in the architecture. We need a hierarchy. I mentioned that before. But we need a hierarchy of federated organizations. Even in the Defense Department, where they have a hierarchy, in practice, there's a lot of federation going on. Some generals in the DoD, they want a big easy button. They want to push a red button, and they want the entire organization to be patched. Press the button, boom. And the military, they're good at saluting. But as they press that big easy button, as the command comes down, each of the organizations, each of the continuous monitoring instances, they need to plan out their approach for doing whatever they're supposed to do. Maybe they need to wait until nighttime, when there isn't such a peak load in the system. Maybe there's a configuration management plan that needs to be followed in order to do this effectively and safely. So we need that hierarchy, but we need federation in there. And the model that we're presenting here defines that communication that needs to happen. So first, we've looked at the important communication interfaces between these different components in the architecture. I know that most of you do not want to know what each of those areas is. If you do, read the paper. If you're government, join the ISIMC group, you can read the paper. Well, in a few days, we'll have it posted. The salient point for you for this slide is this. Oh, I think I have it animated. Yay! Okay. Is that we need standard communication between these components unless we're going to buy proprietary solutions. I don't like this, but I've noticed that among the 4 big boxes on the left, that analysis, presentation, data aggregation, and task management, I've noticed that we don't have a lot of security standards around that, or any kind of standards. I believe in the short term that we're going to have to buy all of that from a single vendor or from some cooperating vendors. Not one vendor for the government, but I mean, like an agency will have to choose a particular vendor to buy that functionality from. Or maybe it's a vendor that's already providing similar functionality. I've been talking to vendors this week, and a lot of that looks a lot like a SIM tool. And a lot of people, when I talk to them, say, oh, this is a bunch of trash because, hey, we already have SIM tools. And I say, no, you didn't get the point. If what we need is what the vendors already provide or close to it, we've won. That's a good thing. But as it turns out, if you look carefully at SIM tools and you actually read the paper, and more importantly, you read those functional specifications that we're writing that we really haven't released yet or haven't even finished yet, you'll see that they don't do exactly what we need or what we think we need. And so I've drawn a big box around that, and I've labeled it situational awareness capability. And so my hope is that the SIM vendors would be able to gently instrument their tools to meet our needs. There's also a class of tool for security, risk measurement, and compliance reporting. And those tools look a lot like this, but have different